Freedom of religion is a sacred right, but it is also a right under threat all around us, and the world is under serious, serious threat in so many different ways, and I've never seen it so much and so openly as since I took the position of president.
The president focusing on one threat in particular in his speech at the National Prayer Breakfast. He says terrorists are attacking religious freedoms around the globe. But his message is a hopeful one, focusing on changing the world for the better. Let's bring in Tony Perkins, Family Research Council president. And Tony, I believe you were at the breakfast this morning. Your reaction to the president's remarks?
Well, Shannon, I thought it was outstanding. The president's remarks were very on target, as well as the keynote. Chaplain Barry Black from the Senate talked about how our voice needs to be heard in heaven, and that's the most important thing. But the president really focused, as you pointed out, on religious liberty, but not just internationally. He also focused on it domestically and was very clear. He called one again for the repeal of the Johnson Amendment, which was introduced again yesterday with Steve Scalise, majority whip in the House, Jody Hice, and James Lankford, Senator of Oklahoma, was there as we introduced that bill again. And the president said it's going to become law, that religious freedom needs to flourish in this country because our country's ability to flourish is contingent upon that. So it was a very, very encouraging speech.
Yeah, and just so people know about the Johnson Amendment, it essentially makes most churches and political or religious leaders feel like their hands are tied, that if they express any endorsement of a particular religious position or party or person who's running for office, that they risk their tax-exempt status. It's something he pledged
Correct.
to do during the campaign, and it sounds like he's going to follow through on that. Now, you know there are plenty of those out there who are worried when he starts talking about these issues of religious freedom. There are reports about a particular order that has been drafted. The White House says they have nothing to announce, but it is called, I understand, Establishing a Government-Wide Initiative to Respect Religious Freedom, and apparently will offer some protections to businesses and organizations so that they are able to express their religious views, even if they're not popular, and not be punished for that. It works with adoption agencies and child welfare groups to protect them if they have certain religious standards. And also, I understand it may set up a group within the Justice Department to work on protecting religious liberties. Now, you know the left sees a lot of worry in that, and we have a couple of quotes from them. Sarah Kate Ellis, who is GLAAD president and CEO, says, if anything in this document were to become federal law, it would be a national license to discriminate. It would endanger LGBTQ people and their families. Your reaction?
Well, that's simply not the case. You know, religious freedom, and we have to start with that definition. Religious freedom is not just the ability to choose what church you want to go to or what prayers you want to say. It is the ability to live your life according to your faith. And what is, really in conflict right now is this new license, libertinism that has been pushed forward about, doing anything you want and making everybody embrace it, regardless of whether you're a religious organization or a private business. And what we're looking for is simply allowing people of faith to operate in the public square according to the tenets of their faith. I mean, right now, what's happening under some current executive orders? What could potentially happen is organizations like Catholic Charities that do a lot of great humanitarian work alongside our federal government could be prohibited from doing that simply because they hold a biblical view of human sexuality. That's not right. That's not religious freedom. And I am very optimistic that this administration is going to address that.
You and I have talked about many of these cases where there are people who are business owners who run up against this very difficult situation in which their approach, whether to bake a wedding cake or take photographs of a same-sex ceremony, which is legal here in the U.S., but they say, I don't want to participate, I'll refer to you to someone else. But these groups that express their concerns now feel like this kind of order is going to give license for people to just across the board say, I'm not going to offer service to people that I don't agree with.
Well, first off, that expresses no faith in our free market system because people are going to be driven by profit. And when people have a point of contention of faith, and it usually comes down to, this is not across the board. We don't have cases of people just denying people to serve them a meal or rent them a room. This comes down to the issue of marriage. Primarily, almost all of these cases have revolved around wedding photographers and things of that nature, cake bakers. So what we're talking about here are religious elements, and we just don't we shouldn't be forcing people to do stuff that's against their faith.
Again, we got to watch and see whether this becomes something the White House officially embraces. As we understand, just draft, nothing official yet. Tony Perkins, good to see you.
Thank you, Shannon.